So turn off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Greetings, Earthlings. We are back. It is Deandra on last week's episode, where we will be covering episode 3 of Loki, entitled Lamentis. Before I go any further, I have with me Courtney.
Hi. You see me like going, no, it's because there's a cat that's trying to mess with my ankles.
Cats are canon in the MCU, though.
They are. It works. So is the state of Alabama. So
roll with it.
What else do you...
We're here again without Ronnie because, I mean, really, who needs him?
Exactly. We're evolving. We've grown past the need for men.
We have moved past the need for men altogether, at least in this space. We're working on global domination. So
we'll get there.
Is where we are. As usual, we'll get right in because we are efficient AF. What did you think about the episode? General impressions of Lamentis.
I liked it. We talked about this before we went live, just that, it's not going to be like, there's a flashy type of episode, but there's a lot of necessary character development. We found out a lot. I liked it. Like I said, no, obviously not going to be a favorite, but it's not designed to be. So I'm pretty content with it.
I agree. It's one of those things where we need the story, we need the backstory, and in this situation, this is how we get it. I think that Lady Loki, who now we know her name is Sylvie, deserves some sort of introduction outside of her just being like this evil genius or whatever else it is. So I thought they did it pretty well. But it starts very interesting because we have Lady Loki, or Sylvie. I'm sorry, her name is Sylvie. We will call people. She doesn't like being called Loki. Right. We will call people what they like to be called, and she has made it very clear she does not like to be called Loki. So Sylvie is having margaritas with Hunter number 20. And Hunter 20, if you recall, is the one who was kidnapped from the festival, fair, whatever it was in Oshkosh. Now, first impression, did you think this was a flashback or did you automatically know what it was?
I thought it was mind manipulation immediately. But I kind of thought it was intriguing where they were. I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but when we find out that this is she's actually using memories, and it kind of proves that these are all variants, and they were kind of like Loki being forced to work for the TVA, and then their memories are basically wiped, I guess, which explains why they're traumatized when they come back. But I replug this back in. But I thought that was a really interesting development. Not more because Sylvie is using mind manipulation, but because that's what is her name again? The
Hunter 20.
Name, the Hunter 20. That's her memories. So I thought that was crazy. Like, she's from Earth, so everyone's kind of like a Loki situation. That's intriguing.
I agree. Now, I will say I was duped a little because I thought that it was a legit flashback and that they knew each other. It took a second for me to realize what was happening because as soon as she said how many security guards or how many guards were at the gate, I'm like, oh no. This is her doing her thing.
Like a Inception type of moment, maybe. Yep.
Right. This is like she's trying to. Inception. Really, it is. She's trying to make her comfortable, almost just like when you drink and you get loose lips, and she's trying to do that. She, being Sylvie, is trying to do that with Hunter 20 to get as much intel as she can about the TVA because she's pretty much going to go storm the gates. That's her next move. And we see that when we actually get to the episode and to where we left off the last time, that's exactly where she goes. Sylvie goes directly to TVA and she is kicking ass and taking names. Like, she is really going all out for it.
She is the superior Loki. Or
at this point,
we'll just call her the superior Sylvie. That's right, because she's the blueprint.
Right, and we want to make it clear she is a Loki, but she is not.
She doesn't like the association.
Things. Yeah, it's like she doesn't like the evil part of it or the.
She's not as Asgardian as our Loki. Well, I guess we'll get into that. her backstory.
And she go and she's just really trying to get to something at TVA headquarters. We haven't seen what it is. My guess is the timekeepers or a way to get to said timekeepers. And she encounters our Loki, and they have it out. But the thing that I liked was that Loki held his own. It wasn't a situation like it was last time. I think last time he was just very cocky and unprepared. And once he realized that I am still dealing with a Loki, I have to be on my A game. Then we started to see the Loki that we remember, the one that's like
they're showing more of his powers too. It was like,
I know exactly. That's exactly
he could protect you from a fallen building. That's all we need to know.
Right. So after Sylvie makes it further than I guess she should have, and Ravonna comes out. Her name is it Renslayer? Is it Renslayer or Renslayer?
I think so.
That's her last name. Mm-hmm. But she comes out and they get. I think Sylvie at this point realizes, okay, she's not going to be as easy to defeat as the rest of them. This foe is formidable. Mm-hmm. So Loki takes the TemPad and opens a window for them to go to another apocalypse. Now,
so basically she has like all the apocalypses in history bookmarked. So that's what she was doing. She had them with the bookmarks.
She's got them in a file, like, apocalypse 1, 2, 3. Like, she has a plan. And that comes back up because she makes sure to tell Loki, this is not a plan. You did a thing. A plan has multiple steps. We'll get to that, of course, but I really like when she said that. So they go and they don't know where they are at this point because Loki doesn't know how to properly use the TemPad. He just knows that I can push this button and we'll be out of here.
He's a man, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's a man.
He's a man.
And they get to what Sylvie describes as the
worst apocalypse.
Of course, I mean, it's Loki. Of course they go to the worst apocalypse. Where else would they go? Where else, right? They go to the worst apocalypse, which is there's a moon heading towards this planet, and it is going to
purple-looking planet.
It's going to hit the planet and destroy it and kill everybody.
So it's like it's like a planet-destroying event, which is like the level 1 because it goes like downwards apocalypse.
Yeah, this isn't Pompeii where like this place is obliterated, which is also very sad. This is an entire planet, to put it into perspective. So they have arrived at Lamentis 1, and she tells him, oh my God, this is Lamentis 1, which is in 2077. This is the worst apocalypse. Out of all of the ones I had on the list, you picked the worst one. So now everybody's nervous. Okay, what are we going to do? Now, she knows that Loki still has the TemPad, but Loki does his thing and he hides it. Now, she is very impressed with his magic. And you see her kind of walking towards him. And I'm like, okay, we got to get into it early. But she is a Loki. And she's just trying to enchant him. Now, our Loki, again, is very cocky. And he says he's the superior Loki. And we get that he believes that. But he also knows that he can't be enchanted because his mind is too strong. And they pretty much make a truce. Now, what do you think at this point about what they have to do? I think at this point they've decided, okay, the only way we will survive is if we work together. Do you think they truly trust each other, though?
I don't think they truly trust each other. It's more of like, okay, we have to do this because we have similar goals. What made me, to me, was like the kind of sign that they have to work together. It was with a lady with like, I don't know, the space shotgun. They both tried different ways of talking to her and they both failed. And they both had this moment kind of looking at each other. It's like, they got to work together because separate, it doesn't work that well, but together it works. So, yeah.
And the best part of that is your point. They did two different things. She did brute force, which he told her it's not going to work. He tried his deception, his charm. It didn't work. The best part about that whole thing is honesty is what got them what they needed. Mm-hmm. All they had to do is tell them.
Which is what they're not good at all. The thing that they're the worst at is being honest.
They're not good at it at all. That's why they were so surprised when they're like, oh, that's it. That's all we had to do. They ask where everybody is because nobody's around. They know it's an apocalypse. Where is everybody though? And she tells them, oh, they're at the Ark. Mm-hmm. Now, In heading to this arc again, this is when Sylvie tells Loki, "My name is Sylvie. I don't want to be called a Loki." And there was another name he said. He's something else he called her, and he's like, "I don't want to be called that either." So she's Sylvie.
Yeah, I think maybe it was like because I was gonna ask like AJ when you're listening, like if she's maybe like a combo of Enchantress and Lady Loki, because like I think from what I remember it was like a play on that, because I'm sure people would be speculating. But the reason why she's like that is because Loki's mom, or I guess adopted mom, Frigga, which is like another Norse mythology figure, she died when Lady Loki was really young. And if y'all remember the movies, the Thor movies, Frigga's pretty much the reason why Loki has some bit of like humanity, is not completely like edgy and hardcore, which is why Sylvie is more edgy and hardcore, because like the one like motherly loving figure isn't there, and apparently like Odin is just a complete asshole. So it explains they kind of have a moment like where they're like, yeah, our lives are both very traumatic.
They do. And once again, they need to get on this train because the train is going to take them to the Ark. And right. They need the energy from the train to charge the TemPad.
From the Ark, yeah. They have to get there.
So at this point, they have already tried their tricks on each other. She has tried to convince Loki that she's, I'm just trying to do what you asked me to do as far as charging the TemPad. He says, I'm not an idiot. That's not going to work on me. So they have already, it's like at this point, they've gotten a meeting of the mind saying, I'm smart, you're smart. What you do for everybody else will not work for me. So let's just move on. And that's what they've done. Mm-hmm. They get to this train. And once again, Sylvie has a plan. Her plan is to enchant a guard. And Loki walks her through her plan and says it's not going to work. And he's right. He's right.
Because they're way too, like, the mind's way too strong.
It's not a word. So Loki decides to do his magic that has been taught to him by his beautiful mother and turn himself into a guard and take her onto the train as a prisoner. But that doesn't work either because he didn't consider the guards being smarter than just dumb idiots. They're just going to see the uniform and let them in. So they once again work together and it gets them on the train. And once they're there, they kind of talk, which was interesting to me. And again, I know why people why they say, okay, this episode is boring, because there was a lot of conversation. But I enjoyed the conversation they had with each other because it once again brought up his mother. And we know that if nothing else, Loki's soft spot is his mom. Mm-hmm. And this is where Courtney was saying before, they had a discussion about, your mom taught you magic. My mom died when I was young. And Loki is just kind of telling her how much she meant to him, but Sylvie was shocked that he didn't know he was adopted.
Oh, sorry, he hadn't found out yet. He had not found out yet, and he was like, "She's like, you don't know yet. You're half giant, actually."
Yeah, she's like, "They told you. They didn't tell me." So it's just like you said. It's a way of showing that their upbringing is different, but at their core,
you're the same person.
Yeah.
Almost like a Homelander moment, like in The Boys most recent. I was like, are we gonna have a Homelander moment where it's like, I was like, what is this considered? Like, what is it? I would have a conversation about that. Like, if it's a different you, I'm like, what are we gonna do here with? Because I don't know if you got the same vibes that I got. Sometimes I was like,
yeah, well, it did. Because I'm like, it's you. It's not you, but it is you.
It's you. It's not you.
Is it?
Is it? What are y'all's thoughts? I just want to know. Like, I really want to know what people think about that.
Maybe it's like more like a species thing. Like, we're all human. They're all Loki. Instead of saying they are one person. Maybe. So let's just look at it that way.
We're not going to go further than that.
And they start to have this little thing about what love is, which was interesting.
Which led me to think that it more with that. I was like,
this is where they're going to connect, but they don't.
But also, they finally talk about Loki being bisexual, which is big part of Loki in Norse mythology is one very gender fluid and also bisexual. So I thought that was very cool that they finally did that in a very organic combo way, not
And it wasn't a big deal. It was just
Casual.
do you have somebody waiting for you at home? A man, a woman, maybe?
Both.
And he's like, maybe, whoever.
Maybe both.
That's how I roll.
I thought that was cool.
And he says the same as you, I suppose, because again, is familial. Like he knows
they're the same.
Sylvie because they're the same. Yeah. And then Loki gets drunk. Sylvie says she doesn't trust any. She doesn't sleep around people she can't trust, but she falls asleep. And I think it's one of those things where it's kind of, she doesn't trust him fully, but she knows there's only so much she can do because they need each other, so she can rest. But Loki gets wasted because
I want to pause real quick. So, like, before we talk about what's going to happen next, there's a theory that I find very intriguing that I want people, like, when we talk about it, to have, like, think about this going forward, talking about it, that Loki maybe had enchanted her while she was asleep, and the next segment is him tricking her. So just put that in the back of your mind, because I thought that was intriguing. But he gets drunk in a very Thor-like fashion, which was cute, because he was like, another, and that was such a cute callback, because they're brothers.
That was the best part. I loved it because it was immediately, it of course takes you right back to when Thor is having coffee.
Yeah, no, he was having beer. It was beer. It was like a big thing of mead.
Another.
I thought that was adorable, honestly.
Luke, he was singing. So of course I had to swoon for a good
it's like you can sing too.
sing. It sounds so sweet. And like you said, when Sylvie woke up, she is like, what is going on? Why are you drunk? Why are people looking at you? You have alerted them. They know something is up. And then they have our fight scene, because on the train you gotta fight, right? Like there has to be a fight on the train. Loki gets thrown off the train. Sylvie goes after him because he has the temp pad. And what happens to the temp pad, Courtney?
It breaks.
Like now,
shatters. But like I said, think about what I said earlier. Not to cut you off, but think about this. Since someone brought this point up, Loki's such a good fighter. How did he easily get thrown out the window? Anyway.
And he has magic.
Exactly. Anyway, just back of your mind.
So they're off the train, and they need this temp pad to get off this planet. They need it. They have to have it. There's no other way to get off, or they're going to die. Their thought is, at this point, okay, if we can't use the temp pad to get off, that means we have to get to the Ark and save the people there, because that rewrites history, right? The timeline changes forever if we do this, or the timekeepers come back and fix it, just like they do everything else. So their plan now is to hijack the Ark to change the timeline, and they're just going and running and whatever else. So in the talk that they're having, Sylvie tells us a very, very important and wonderful, she gives us this revelation that all of the TVA cops are variants. And she tells us because she says, the memories that I had to pull from Hunter 20 were before she joined the TVA. And Loki says, what?
Variant? Think about Mobius. That's why he loves jet skis so much.
Makes sense. And but it was like Loki really had a revelation, because he's like,
because that's how he joined.
Yeah, they don't know that, but that's the difference. It's that it's like you have the knowledge, like the whole Adam and Eve thing.
I think that ignorant, also, I think that goes back to like maybe Loki like having a very strong mind, maybe, but then maybe they do enough where it's just. But I found that, I think to me it adds more to like the sinister vibes that Sylvie's not the villain, the timekeepers are the villains. Like it's like, to me it's like very explicitly clear at this point that the timekeepers are the villains.
Could she be looking for somebody? Like not necessarily just blowing up the timelines just for the hell of it.
Yeah, I'm like, obviously something, like how did she even get here if she's a variant?
Did they take somebody from her? Like could she have been with one? Yeah. So could she have been in a situation where the person she loved was a variant and then got taken in by the timekeepers?
Or maybe her mom. Maybe her mom.
Yeah, it really could be anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense because she, like, at this point, it appears or it looks like Sylvie is hell bent on just getting, not just setting off breaches in the sacred timeline. She's trying to blow up TVA in
Mm-hmm.
general. Like she's trying to go down with the
Because it goes into like
timekeepers.
the no free will kind of stuff, and that kind of like we were a little. I still think this show's going to end up with like the multiverse or like plant the seed for it. But she wasn't trying to start the multiverse there. She was trying to get all the guards out. Periods. It's trying to chase all these literal time bombs so that the time keepers are unguarded, or at least what she thought.
It's what it looks like. And then once she gets to, once they realize that they have to get to the Ark, because they had mentioned, well, the Ark doesn't make it either. The whole, she's like, the entire planet is destroyed. So the Ark is too. Nobody gets off. This is a like you said, level whatever apocalyptic event.
The worst one in history.
So they have another situation where they're running through and fighting and trying to get to the Ark. I enjoyed that part of it because I just liked it.
That was very cool. I agree.
And you can tell that at that point, Loki, because he kept asking, "Are you okay?" And he's looking for her. And although she can hold her own, he's still very much trying to get her along with him. He's not just trying to get to the Ark thinking, "Okay, if I get here, then it's fine." He wants her to come too. And at this point, I'm thinking, well, why does he even care? Because, like you say, if the temp pad is destroyed, you don't need her because she can't fix it. She knows how to charge it, but she can't fix it.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So then we see they make it towards the Ark, but the moon hits it, so it's destroyed. So we're now right in the timeline where it's exactly supposed to be, and that's just where the episode ends. In limbo, we don't know what happens to our, can I say hero and heroine? Well, I guess because that's kind of what they are in this episode.
Our main characters.
We don't know what happens to them. There you go. We don't know where our main characters are, what they're going to do. It looks at this point like they're going to die. A part of me is like, they can't die. It's episode 3. The show is called Loki. They can't die.
I wonder if Mobius swoops in.
He could. Because they know, well,
because Mobius knows how and where they could probably have gone.
There you go. I was gonna say he doesn't know maybe which one, but the fact that he knows the code, plan, the code. He knows that they are in whatever, like you said, in some apocalypse. He could have just sent several to whatever.
Or he could have just gone to every single one.
Yeah, and whatever.
I can see Joker's like, you know how many apocalypses I've been to? I'm calling it right now. That's something that they would put in dialogue.
I wouldn't be surprised. And that makes sense if Mobius comes in and saves him. What do you think their relationship will be, though? After all,
I think
Mobius and Loki.
I think he's going to be pissed at him for betraying him. I also think that he's not going to believe Loki at first. When he's like, yeah, you're a variant, dude. Like, they're evil, like I told you.
Oh, he's definitely not going to believe it. I don't think so. I feel
like he's going to start to see small things where it's like, because the seed of doubt's already there.
Yeah.
So.
But he's clinging to it because that's what he knows. And it makes sense to him. And it's to the point where the things that don't make sense, he's okay with it because he trusts so much in this. In what he's in, just like with all of us, like, some of us are Christians or whatever religion or however you have something that you grasp and you hold on to, and if it doesn't make sense, you don't try to explain it. You're just like, yeah, it's fine that it doesn't make sense because it doesn't have to. And that's where Mobius is. So like you said, even if he starts to see that things don't add up, don't make sense, I do think it's going to take him a second to actually
probably more than one episode, maybe.
Yeah, except that he's a variant. Do you think, though, at the end that what are they going to do with Sylvie? Does she come back?
I think she's going to get arrested at first or whatever. I think that it's going to be like, you betrayed me kind of thing. I think it's going to be like that kind of like where like things get like more sad before they get better. And then maybe where they maybe try to stage a revolt and tell them that they're variants. I can see that happening. Because like I said, whatever her name is, made it very clear she doesn't care if Loki dies. She's like, that's fine. Slice his throat. I don't care about him. Mobius was the only one that kind of vouched for him. So I think maybe Mobius would, if they get imprisoned, Mobius would let him out. But yeah, like I think that's one thing that's going to be key for them is to turn all of the TVA employees against the timekeepers. Because I still am convinced that it's going to be a Wizard of Oz, man behind the curtain situation.
Oh, it's just
there's
fake.
still going to be lizard people. They're just not as like
they're not like these big statuesque bosses that they have made of themselves, the image they've made of themselves. I'm with you. I think Loki is going to tell all of them at the first opportunity that they're variants. He's definitely going to. It's not going to be a secret.
Believe them.
No, they're not. They
until maybe he starts to enchant people. It's like, these are your memories. I think maybe he does that to Mobius, and that's where Mobius is like, oh my god, maybe he had like a family, and he's like, my family, something like that. I can see that. And
I'm wondering if Hunter 20 is going to maybe be the one that makes him believe it too, because like you said, she's already been enchanted. So I'm wondering if they remember.
I wonder if they wiped her mind.
Yeah, like when she enchants them, does she? I know she says she can kind of manipulate things, but what is left? Like, is that memory there? Do they remember?
She says, I think there was one where, I mean, even where 20, where she came to, she was like kind of like, her brain was almost like broken. Because I think that the enchantment is working against whatever the TVA's got on their mind.
Yeah, because I think wasn't she saying it's true, it's all true, or something like that.
It's true, it's all true, yeah.
And then maybe her, like, maybe she told her, maybe Sylvie told her, oh, by the way, you're a variant. You had a life before all of this. The timekeepers didn't sculpt you from clay and put you here. You breached the timeline just like the rest of us, and they made you a soldier. So it is what it is.
Did something that the timekeepers didn't want you to do.
Yeah. Well, we're halfway through.
It's a good, like I said, so far, it's my favorite show. I knew it would be because Loki's the most compelling character. One of the most compelling characters. And now we see why.
He is. And he's got depth. He's got layers. I like
any character that's morally gray is just always going to be more interesting because, like, as much as like we love like Thor, like there's just something a little more boring about someone that's like perfect. You know what I mean? Like it's less perfect is more fun, in my opinion. Especially when a character is so clever, it's so great. It's almost like a little detective show.
And that works on both ends. Like you said, it's not just that they're not all the way good. It's that they're not all the way evil either. So
they're
like
just
you said, a little bit of both that makes it, because you never know which way it's going to go. Like which side will be the one that takes over in the end. So that is episode 3, Lamentis. Episode 4 next week. We'll be back. Ronnie may be here.
Better be Ronnie. I'm going to tell your mom. I'm going to tell Angela.
Uh-oh. So he'll probably be here. Can't threaten to tell somebody's mom and they not show up. But we thank you for watching. Please keep up. If you have any questions, comments, theories, any of that, we are all here for them. You can hit us on Twitter at the KWC blog, and make sure you visit thekidswearcrowns.com. And until next time.
Like, real quick question. I want everyone to answer my question. If you kind of pull a Homelander with a different version of yourself, what is it? I want to answer it. I don't know either.
Answer Courtney's question.
Answer my question.
She's not vibing with the whole their species thing. She wants to know what you think.
To me, it's like the Homelander on Homelander situation is what it is in my mind.
It is weird. So let us know what you think and get back to us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.